Paris, foreign ministers from the US, Germany, France, Italy and the UK, as well as the EU's foreign policy chief, are meeting before Monday's peace talks on Syria. But opposing sides in those talks disagree on the future of leader Bashar al-Assad. Well, for more on that, let's speak now to Ammar Kahf. He's the Executive Director of the Omran Center for Strategic Studies and is with me here in the studio. Good to see you. Thank you for your time. So here we have then Syria's foreign minister saying that Assad's future is not up for negotiation. The opposition say Assad has to go. Are these talks doomed before they've even started?
I mean, you'd have to look at negotiations as part of the main part of negotiations are the media stunts and the media rhetoric that goes out from both sides. And so this is very common in most negotiations. However, I believe that the real negotiation is on the table between the Russians and the Americans rather than being at Geneva today. And Geneva is just a representation of such an agreement at this point, unfortunately, I would say.
We talk about the agreement. I mean, there's UN Resolution 2254. That's the so-called roadmap to peace for Syria. It calls for a credible, inclusive and non-sectarian governance in Syria. But nowhere does it mention the future of Bashar al-Assad. Are the opposition going to have to be flexible here in some way?
Well, the opposition's point of view is that the UN Security Council Resolution 2254 does mention that the Geneva Communique of 2012 is the foundation for any peace negotiation and peace talks. And so part of that is a transitional governing body, which means that there is a transitional period, a post-Assad period. It may not be spelled out explicitly. However, even the Russians have implicitly admitted that it's part of the process. However, I believe the parties meeting in France today are mainly discussing the when and the how, the departure of Assad. And they may not say it because they want the negotiations to move forward. The opposition is very, I mean, there is no way you can bring back stability, regardless of what the opposition or the government says. You want stability and security in the Middle East, and that requires the removal of the source of terrorism and the source of instability and insecurity in the region, which is Bashar al-Assad.
If the real negotiations then are taking place between, let's say, Moscow and Washington, why is Moscow prepared to perhaps allow Assad to be cut adrift now when they've invested so much, it seems, militarily in supporting the regime with the airstrikes?
I'm not sure they want him out now, but I mean, their interests in the Middle East goes beyond the ruling party or the ruling person and Assad or the others. Their interests in the Middle East are concerned to have access to the Mediterranean, to have a more control, a sphere of influence within the Middle East that they have lost in Libya and in other Arab Spring countries. And so their interests are way more strategic and long-term than siding with one party or the other.
Okay, so considering where we are now then with the talks set to start on Monday, what would be success for those talks? What would be considered a successful outcome, do you think? Or does it depend on who you speak to and who you ask?
I mean, if a serious talk takes place on the formation of the transitional governing body with full executive powers, and that's the key word, then there's perhaps a chance for success and a roadmap that goes out. Without full executive powers, this phrase, and so the phrase about a governance is always a game in terms of whether it's a transitional governing body or a governance, which is a very lucid and fluid term that may be meaning different things to different parties.
Okay, Ammar Kahf, thank you very much for your time here on TRT World. Thank you.
Thank you.